Hey guys, this is Mallory Mays, and this is Real Talk Real Estate, coming to you from Southern California with the best relocation recommendations. Hey guys, it's Mallory, and today's episode is all about relocating while pregnant. So I've done this personally 4 times, and I've helped multiple clients do it as well. So I'm just gonna provide you with some really simple, easy tips and tricks to help the process be as smooth as possible. So let's dive right in. So the first thing I'm gonna recommend, if you're moving to a state that is far away from family and friends and you don't know anybody, first talk to your OBGYN. The first time that I had to move was with a 2-week-old baby. Terrifying, I know. I was moving halfway across the country. I didn't know anybody. I had no family, I had no friends, and I was a first-time mom. So that's scary in itself. But I did it, I survived, I'm here, and I did it again 3 more times. So let them know when you are planning to be moving, and just let them kind of give you their advice moving forward. Depending upon where you are in your pregnancy, the doctor could suggest different things. But most importantly, I would get his recommendation on another OBGYN. Sometimes doctors actually have other doctors that they know in different states and different cities that they did a residency with or they went to med school with, and they're able to kind of send you in the right direction in terms of maybe interviewing a doctor that has similar practicing, similar bedside manner as your current OBGYN. So start there and see if they happen to know anybody in the new area that you're moving to. If not, the next thing I would do is ask your real estate agent. So a lot of agents have referral partners and friends in other states and cities. I have lots of friends that are agents in multiple cities. So when I have a client that is moving out of state and happens to be moving to their area, I'll reach out to them, put them in touch with my client, and let them know, hey, we have someone who's expecting their first child or their 3rd child. What's your top recommendation list of OBGYNs? And they're gonna be able to kind of guide you again and give you a list of doctors so you're not starting from nothing. At least you have a couple names, you can kind of feel them out, talk to the doctors, interview them, and see where you stand with them, and hopefully pick one. Once you've narrowed down your OBGYN search and you feel a little bit more confident in knowing that you have a potential doctor out there, or you've at least have a list compiled of a couple doctors, I would, if you have children already, obviously talk to your pediatrician. Again, the network of doctors. They might know other pediatricians in different states, just like your OBGYN, or a nurse practitioner, or just a registered nurse. They might know somebody who's in the pediatric field and help give you some guidance, and you already have that trust and rapport with your pediatrician to kind of guide you to another doctor. If you don't have children yet, I would ask your OBGYN, again, the same question, if they know any pediatricians on top of knowing any OBGYNs. They don't, again, default back to your real estate agent. Chances are we might know somebody who knows somebody that has worked with friends of ours, family members of ours, and it'll give you a starting point. Now, obviously, it's gonna be hard to narrow down an OBGYN and a pediatrician if you're not physically in that state yet. And for me personally, I wanted to meet the doctors face-to-face before I committed to a doctor. So while I had compiled a list, it was really important to check your insurance to make sure that your insurance is in network with these doctors that you are vetting, because the last thing you want to do is get there, fall in love with a pediatrician, and they're not of network, and then you have to start all over. So get your list compiled of your OBGYN, of your pediatrician, and see if they're in network. Now, another thing to consider when you are looking at your OBGYNs and your pediatrician is the hospital that they're going to deliver at. You want to make sure that your pediatrician and your OBGYN are both affiliated at the same hospital. So I had my first child, this happened to me because I just assumed that the pediatrician that I had picked out was going to be at the hospital that my OBGYN delivered at. Well, it turns out that they were not at the same hospital. So the week that I was going in for labor, I had to find a new pediatrician because I had no idea that I was supposed to ask to make sure my pediatrician and my OBGYN were affiliated with the same hospital. Really silly, I know, but again, you only know what you know. And it was my first time being pregnant, and nobody told me. So When you're looking at these new doctors in a different state that you don't know about, make sure they're both affiliated with the same hospital and that you're comfortable with that hospital. And you know that you're gonna be close to your new location. You're not gonna be driving super far away to try to get to this hospital because again, you're in a new area that you might not be familiar with. So finding a hospital and doctor's office that is close to your new home is probably gonna be ideal till you kind of get your feet wet and figure out your bearings of your new home. So something that was a really big challenge for me while moving with pregnant that I had never anticipated happening was getting my medical transcripts and documents to my new doctor. So the 4 times that I had personally done this, each doctor's office was different, and you are so stressed out, you're dealing with so many things when you're trying to move and uproot your life that going to my doctor's office and making sure I sign a medical release form and getting all of my medical documents sent over to my new doctor was not something that was high on the priority list. Well, I make sure all of my clients do this before they leave their current home. So some doctors will make you physically go in to sign a form to release your records to your new doctor. Even if you don't know who that new doctor is yet, you can put down the address you are moving to so the documents can get sent to your house. I've had this happen where the documents never got sent. I had to call multiple times, or the documents, they don't fax over the entire folder. They would only fax over the first 20 pages of my records. And therefore, where I was in my pregnancy and all of my information from previous pregnancies was missing. Kind of sounds like it would be important if you're passing along your OBGYN information to another OBGYN, you think they would include your pregnancy stuff. But I'm telling you, I have had doctors that didn't include any part of my pregnancy, and I would be 30 weeks pregnant, and there would be nothing in my file that got sent over about my current pregnancy, but they would have information about my first pregnancy. Irrelevant, technically. I mean, it's helpful, but not really. So make sure you get those documents. Take a copy with you, get a CD, get a virtual portal link, whatever your doctor does, get those records before you leave that state. So probably the hardest part about relocating while pregnant for me was the aftermath of the pregnant. Not necessarily the labor and delivery and getting through whatever time I had left of that pregnancy, but just being able to figure out what I'm gonna do when I have this baby and I have no friends, I have no family, I don't have a support group. So for me, I always tell my clients about a couple different support groups that are out there for moms when you are relocating to a new town. I'll link all that in the description below. Those have helped me personally, and some of my clients really feel like they have a support group when they get there. Whether it's just, a friendly play date at the park where you meet up with some moms who are in a similar situation as you, or it's something that you end up doing regularly and become really good friends with some of these people. Also, they might get you a meal train, which I am all for a meal train. And if you don't know what a meal train is, basically after you have a baby, a bunch of women who are in your support group will sign up to either bring a meal to your home that is home cooked so that you don't have to worry about doing dinner that week or dinner that day, or they'll get food delivered to your house. And basically dinner and meals are taken care of for however long, and so you don't have to worry about it, because that's the last thing when you have a newborn baby is cooking. What's for dinner? What's for lunch? Like making sure everybody's fed when you just want to get an hour of sleep. So meal trains, big deal. My first pregnancy, I'll never forget, I didn't know what a meal train was and I didn't have one. And by my second pregnancy, I was fortunate enough to be in a city where I connected with a group really quickly and was able to get a meal train, and oh my gosh, it was a game changer. People brought me frozen meals for weeks. I had fresh food for my kids and my family, and it was amazing. So I would definitely recommend finding that support group as soon as possible. Now, easier said than done, I understand that. Of all people, I have had to move with a 2-week-old baby and no support. But you get through it. Another thing that I would tell you not to worry about when you are relocating, if you have small children already and this isn't your first pregnancy and you do not have family or friends where you are moving to, do not be worried about going into labor and having your other child or children with you. So when I had my second child, I had just moved to a city where I didn't know anybody. So I did not have childcare for my daughter, who was 16 months at the time. And I didn't trust anybody to just take her, you know, at 2 a.m. when I went into labor. So despite telling my doctor my situation, they kept telling me, you need to find somebody to watch them. We don't allow children, you know, in the labor and delivery room. Well, let me just tell you, it's absolutely okay, and you can bring that child into labor and delivery. So if you show up at the hospital at 1 a.m. and you're in labor and you have another child with you, do not stress about it. Do not panic. Don't frantically try to find childcare that night. It happens. If you have to come into the hospital in labor and you don't know anybody, you can bring a child with you. I delivered my second child with my 16-month-old next to me, and my third child, I had my 2 daughters with me as well, and there was extra nurses on staff that, you know, quickly swept them away. They ended up turning on Frozen for them, and it was the first time they ever saw Frozen was at the hospital. And it worked out, and I was super nervous because, again, I was in a new town, I didn't know anybody, and I didn't have childcare for my 2 daughters. And they told me, you have to find somebody. And I knew that I had already delivered a baby in the labor with another child in the labor and delivery room, so that it wouldn't be a big deal. But again, do not stress. Bring that child with you if you have to, and make it work. And it's also really special to have them there immediately after giving birth. I hope this helped you guys. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments below. If this video is helpful and you want to see more content about relocation recommendations, like and subscribe for more.